Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Send out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Matthew Brune is our guest. We're going to talk Mississippi State film that he looked over. Matthew, can you change a tire? Are you capable?
Like you, I think I vaguely know how to do it, but I've always told myself as long as my phone's charged, I can just pull up YouTube, and I got everything in my trunk.
I got somebody saying word on the street is that Hunt lets his wife cut the grass because he's so soft. I did cut the grass in my house in a previous life, and then I was really bad at edging and whatnot. So we have a guy that comes every couple of weeks, and it's like $30, and we just move on down the road. So yeah, that's pretty manly of me as well. Let's talk some football, Matthew. You took a look at Mississippi State and Arizona over the weekend, kind of looking at a newfangled Mississippi State offense. It doesn't look like it did last year, does it?
No, not at all. Obviously, with the passing of Mike Leach, which everybody knows about, Zach Arnett was promoted to the head coach, and he brought in Kevin Barbay from Appalachian State, who runs basically the opposite of the air raid. He's for the past 4 or 5 years, he's been pretty much almost a 60-40 guy in terms of run-pass split in his offenses, outside zone scheme type guy, and so it's a huge adjustment because you watch the games and it's like it's the same personnel that just passed for 4,000 yards last year, and now they're running the ball. So it's definitely going to take some adjusting, and I think we saw in that game against Arizona that it wasn't the smoothest transition, but they're doing their best and they're not going to change.
Will Rogers is a guy that has looked so comfortable, competent, confident in that Mike Leach offense for 3 years. Does he still look that way in this offense?
You could still tell he's talented. He ended the game against Arizona 13-17 for 162 yards, and really a lot of it was some like misdirection type stuff. I don't think he was really asked to do too much. There's just such a reliance on the run game and getting those first down yards that a lot of times the ball is taken out of his hands. It's just really fascinating because, like you said, we've seen Will Rogers throw for a ton of yards. I mean, he's one of the best in SEC history in terms of yardage, and now he's turning around and handing the ball off. So it's a really weird transition that they're in right now.
I want to get to that running game here in a second, but we'll stay with the pass game briefly. I saw a passing chart on the internet from SEC StatCat that showed that the vast majority of Rogers' passes were less than 5 yards down the field. Now, that's not foreign to the air raid, but you would think if you were a run-heavy group, you'd try to stretch the field a little bit to space the field. Is there any effort to get the ball down the field by Mississippi State?
Yeah, that was probably what surprised me the most because, like you said, when you can run the ball the way that they do, especially out of different pistol stuff and whatnot, you would think the play action shots would be there, and they really weren't for the most part. And that's what was interesting to me because that's what I assumed would have been the big thing with having Will Rogers is you could take those shots, and they really didn't. Running back Jaquavius Marks had 4 catches for 32 yards, and then Tulu Griffin, who's a 5'10", not a slot guy, but kind of one of those short yardage guys, had 5 catches as well. So that's 9 of his 13 completions went to those 2. So that's really indicative, I think, of them utilizing the short game and somewhat the intermediate game. But yeah, really very few deep shots from Mississippi State against Arizona.
All right, let's go to that running game. We know they leaned on it heavily. Woody Marks has been basically a pass catcher for the last couple of years, and he's been carrying the ball a lot. I want to start with the offensive line, though. This is a group you would think that was recruited to pass block. How well did they run block?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, Marks is in a different role, obviously. I do think he kind of fits this mold kind of well because he is versatile and he can still flank out and catch passes, but he is a patient back and whatnot. But on the offensive line, the zone run scheme is obviously you have to be athletic. You have to get out of your stance really well. You have to get over to the second level. There's a lot that goes on, and I think early in the game they did a really good job pushing Arizona around. But as the game wore on, I think Arizona got they started winning up front, started winning in the middle, and didn't let those pullers, didn't let those, zone schemes really get to them. And that was kind of a concern if you're a Mississippi State fan. And that's obviously what allowed Arizona to get back into the game, is they just started stuffing the run in a lot of different ways with their linebackers, defensive linemen, and so good start from the offensive line, and then they really faded. So I think that's something LSU fans should be feel fairly good about.
Look at the Mississippi State defense. This is still a Zach Arnett unit, and it's a very old unit, and they forced a lot of turnovers. I heard Zach Arnett yesterday talk about preparing for DeLaura, the quarterback at Arizona, is similar to preparing for Jaden Daniels. What did you see from that Mississippi State defensive unit on Saturday?
Yeah, I don't really see DeLaura and Daniels. DeLaura was, if anybody watched that game, he is gunslinger might be too passive of a word to describe what DeLaura is. He had 3 interceptions in the first quarter.
Yep.
Just lung it everywhere. Was running around like crazy. Maybe in that respect, but they're going to have to respect obviously Daniel's legs as a runner more than DeLaura, who was just trying to extend plays. And then as the receiving core of LSU is going to be interesting, because I think they have a really good matchup with Mississippi State, who lost an NFL corner in Emmanuel Forbes last year. That's something I think a lot of people don't really talk about when talking about the Mississippi State defense. So I expect it to be a talented front. I don't expect LSU to be able to just run the ball on them. They have good linebackers, experience in the front 6, and because of that, I think it could be tough to run the ball, but we'll see if Daniels and the receivers can get going on the outside.
You were a little hesitant to pick LSU against Florida State. You liked the Noles in that game, even though you liked LSU to have a really strong season. Now we're 2 weeks in and Mississippi State on the horizon. How do you feel about Saturday and the Tigers moving forward?
I feel good about LSU on Saturday. I don't think Mississippi State has the weapon or the offensive scheme to really, really hurt LSU, even though it was concerning watching Grambling State run the ball on LSU. I think part of that was, being out schemes maybe, but not really respecting the run game the way they should have. I think all hands are on deck. We saw LSU stuff Florida State's run in the first half of that game. I think that they're going to be fine against the run. I do think the spread being at 9.5, 10 is quite large. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I do think LSU gets the job done. And I think one of the biggest games of the year is the Arkansas game at home. That's a team that we don't quite know what they are yet because they haven't played anybody that good. So we'll see this week, and then if they can beat Arkansas, then you're back up to 3-1 and feeling better about yourself.
Matthew, thanks for the time, man.
Yeah, thanks. Anytime.
He is Matthew Brune, part of the Bengal Tiger on 3 Sports. He writes really great pieces in the middle of the week, a lot of times breaking down film. He does it for basketball and does it for football as well. If you'd like to learn more about this Mississippi State offense that he just spoke about, you can check it out at the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 network, and check out, he's got GIFs clipped up in the story, and he kind of breaks down what things look like, and I think he does a wonderful job of dissecting how things work on the X's and O's front. So go check that out. Appreciate him jumping aboard to give us some insight. 104.5 ESPN and Citizens Bank and Trust are looking for the ultimate tailgate. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.